candidate, Republican State Senate, District 12. This is for the seat of the retiring Walter Stosh. There's 4 candidates in this race. Bill Janis, former House of Delegates member. Dr. Siobhan Dunavant, she is sister to the Stolley regime in Southeast Virginia. Vince Haley works for Newt Gingrich. Longtime Republican activist Eddie Whitlock. Hey, Bill Janis, good to have you with us.
Hey, good morning, John. Thanks for having me on.
Now, we want to be sure that you're going to stop by Tuesday, June 9th. I know you're going to be making the rounds. We want to be sure you stop by the Silver Diner.
Absolutely. You have to try the chicken fried steak.
Oh, that's what I'm going to have, chicken fried steak. They're feeding me for free all day when I'm there. That was the incentive. I'll work for food. Let's get to your race, Bill. A new negative ad got on TV, I think yesterday or the day before, by Siobhan Dunavant. A little odd. You got a 4-person race, and you get this level of TV negative advertising. But she basically is accusing you of being behind one of the biggest tax increases in Virginia history. How do you respond to that?
Well, what I'm going to tell you is there's no polite way to describe what Siobhan Dunavant is doing right now. She's lying, okay? And she's lying in the mail that she's sending, and she's lying in the television ads that she's sending. And the television ad that she's got up attacking me doesn't talk about spending. What it talks about is she claims that I voted to give in-state tuition to illegal aliens. Now, let's just be clear. That is a lie. On at least 3 occasions, I voted in the General Assembly to forbid Virginia colleges and universities, state colleges and universities, from giving in-state tuition to illegal aliens. Furthermore, over the 10 years that I served there, I voted on 3 occasions, 2011, 2008, 2004, to prohibit state colleges and universities from even enrolling and admitting illegal aliens, because when you put an illegal alien at a state college or university, they're depriving a Virginia student of a seat at that college and university. So there's no polite way to say it. She's lying in her television ad. She's lying in the mail. And when you go through the votes that I had in 10 years, you can see that I never voted to give in-state tuition to illegal aliens. And Siobhan Dunavant should stop lying and take the ads down and stop sending mail and television ads that are a lie.
Well, look, though, I have to ask you, Bill Janis, I mean, normally a candidate doesn't just put ads up and just make something up. So what do you think was the catalyst? What do you think was the genesis behind this?
Well, let's just be clear. She claims that this allegation is based on a vote on House Bill 2339 on the 30th of January of 2003. And if you go to the website of the legislature, you'll see that bill came out of the House Education Committee, and I voted for the bill, which would prohibit colleges and universities from giving in-state tuition. It went to a floor vote. It passed. It went to Governor Warner. Governor Warner put amendments on it, sent it back to us to turn it into something that it wasn't. It went from being a bill that would prohibit in-state tuition for illegal aliens to being a bill that would allow the DREAM Act kind of kids to get in-state tuition. I voted against those amendments. He ultimately vetoed the bill. What she's claiming is that I voted on January 30th of 2003 against that bill. That's wrong. It's incorrect. If you go to the Journal of the House of Delegates, the official record, not the online website that she's citing, but the Journal of the House of Delegates under the Constitution of Virginia is held by the Clerk of the House of Delegates, you will see that on the 30th of June, my vote was misrecorded. And it was corrected that very same day. Now, I've got the records to show it. She either knows this and is lying, or she doesn't know about this because she didn't do her homework, and she needs to correct the lie and the mistake she made. She needs to set the record straight, and she needs to stop lying and pull that ad down.
Wow. So what you're saying, Bill, is that either Siobhan, and of course these ads, this is not by an independent PAC, so these ads are approved by the candidate, right? This is not like this came from some Citizens United third-party person we can't trace. This basically came from the Dunavant campaign with Dunavant campaign money. So what you're saying is that they either advantage of a mistake on the website that they knew was a lie, or just really didn't do their homework. But normally you're not going to put a TV ad up, Bill, and pay all that money to produce a TV ad, and they'll put it on TV if you haven't looked into it. I mean, that just stands to reason, right?
Well, what we've seen over the course of the last several weeks is that Siobhan Dunham is apparently prepared to say or do anything to win this election. And if you've got tens of thousands of dollars to spend on television and you're willing to say anything, this is the kind of garbage that ends up in people's mailboxes, and this is the kind of garbage that ends up on TV. But she can't evade responsibility for her campaign's ad. The ad says that I voted to give in-state tuition to illegal immigrants. That's a lie. It's not true.
All right, so the TV ad's a lie. One way
so's
or the
the
other.
mail.
Yeah, and so's the mail. So we've got negative ads, we've got lying on it, or she didn't check her facts. One way or the other, both of them are bad. Look, you all put out a mailing, just Truth in Advertising, that was negative on her. And I wanted to thank your campaign for featuring me in your campaign mailer. Give me all this free publicity. Thank you so much. But look, at the end of the day, I mean, the concern that...
Well, wait, but hold on for a minute, John. You called it a negative mailer. It's not a negative mailer. It's setting the record straight. We cite two sources. One of them is the Richmond Times-Dispatch, an article from May 24th, which says that she met with Senator McEachin and Senator Sasslaw, and what they say is that she told them she was for Medicaid expansion. We also cite the very thorough story that you wrote, both at Bull Elephant and on your website. To my way of thinking, those two sources are as close to gospel truth as you can get in a political campaign. And it's not negative to point out that Siobhan Dunham met with the Democrat leadership. Before she ever joined the Henrico Republican Committee, she had called for a meeting with the Democrat leadership to consider running as a Democrat, and she told them she was for Medicaid expansion under the Marketplace Virginia plan. That's not negative. That's pointing out what she did. It's not Bill Janis' fault that Siobhan Dunham asked for a meeting with the Democrat leadership. By the way, not a meeting up at the Capitol in their offices, but at some third-party site so that she could hide the fact she was meeting with them. That's not Bill Janis' fault. That's Siobhan Dunham's doing.
Look, it is what it is. I mean, I don't make this stuff up, Bill. And anybody that listens to me, I call it like it is. It is what it is. And I really attempt to do my homework on this stuff. But look, there's no doubt, after talking to a multitude of people, that Siobhan Dunham shopped her candidacy like an eBay candidate. Not only did she shop her candidacy, I believe she shopped her issues. And she wants to be a state senator, and so she was trying to figure out what's the best venue and avenue for her to become a state senator. Dick Sasslaw told me that at the chili cook-off that Sheriff Ken Stolly came up to him and said, my sister would like to run for state senate in District 12, retiring Stosh, as a Democrat. She's pretty viable. Would you meet with her? That's how this meeting got set up. And look, you hit the nail on the head. This meeting was not in the offices, not at the Capitol like we all go into. It was a secret meeting at a hotel across the street. Now, she says she did that for courtesy, but none of the people there say it was courtesy. They came to that meeting. They told me to vet her as a candidate for the Democratic Senatorial Caucus in November of 2015. Plain and simple. They said they talked about what the process is, how it would work, how she'd be the nominee, and things of that nature. Donovan came on my show and said, it was just a courtesy meeting, let people know what I'm going to do. But then I find out, well, she didn't meet with anybody on the Republican caucus except Tommy Norman. She did meet with him, but she didn't meet with any of the other Republican conservatives. There was no big meeting. And as far as the Medicaid expansion, I mean, I've got a number of people telling me that she said specifically she was for the Watkins version of Medicaid expansion in Virginia. Now, that's what multiple people have said to me. So somebody's got this meeting wrong, right?
That's right. And once again, I've got a 10-year voting record. I've got a 10-year track record. The people in Western Henrico and Western Hanover who have known and worked with me for 10 years, they know that I'm a conservative. They know I've got a conservative voting record. They know that the allegation that I would vote to give in-state tuition to illegal immigrants is an absolute lie, not because Bill Janis said so, but because I've got a 10-year track record of not just talking about these issues, but voting in favor of advancing the conservative cause, right? You don't have any track record with her, and what we've seen over the last several months is she is prepared to absolutely do or say anything to win this election. And when you've got tens of thousands of dollars to go up on television, you could spread a lie, and a lie gets halfway around the world before the truth gets his boots on.
Mm-hmm. Well, look, just as an observer, Bill Janis, looking at this, I think the types of negative ads that are being run against you right now, where what you're saying is it's a complete lie. I think this is playing into the narrative that I've had that, it is what it is, and this really looks Dr. Siobhan Donovan really looks to me like somebody in desperate search of a reason to be a state senator. And I think she would be comfortable as a Democrat, as a Republican, and I believe she was willing to shop her stances on certain issues, not life. She made that clear, but Medicaid expansion in order to see what's the best avenue to become a state senator. I'm not sure that that's the appropriate venue for somebody coming out of District 12.
No, and once again, this district is a Republican district. Mark Warner got 44% of the vote in these precincts last year, less than 6 months ago. Okay, very popular incumbent, lots of money to spend. That's a 44% ceiling on the Democrat vote. If you look at Dr. Donovan, she's apparently willing to do or say anything to win this election. And look at who's supporting her. Your article does a very good job of connecting those dots. Her largest contributor is Walter Stosh, $100,000 to her from Walter Stosh. He's one of 3 Republican senators that blocked passage of the state budget in 2014 to try to force through Medicaid expansion under a Trojan horse they called Marketplace Virginia. The Medical Society of Virginia has been one of her largest benefactors and has been pushing her. Their number one policy priority is Obamacare expansion. So, I don't think you can believe anything she says. I don't have any firsthand knowledge about, I don't have a window into her soul about Obamacare expansion, but it certainly does look suspicious. What I can tell you with direct certainty is she's lying about my record, and she's specifically lying when she says that I voted to give in-state tuition to illegal immigrants, and she either knows she's lying, and she's willing to do this to win, or they were sloppy, reckless, and irresponsible, and didn't know that they've got this vote wrong, and they need to correct that mistake and apologize and pull these lies down off the television.
Okay. I think that's pretty clear. And, Bill, as a saying on my show, the truth will set you free. And hopefully we can get to the bottom of this because, this is now the second instance in covering this race and the Donovan campaign where, I'm getting misinformation. And that starts to make somebody like me very leery. Meetings that, 3 people said were on topic A and she's saying on topic B. Campaign ads that don't really meet the truth. If you dig into it, I think you appropriately say it's either a lie or do their homework. Either way, it's bad. And, I'm just not interested in that. Okay, I've got 2 minutes. I had Vince Haley on yesterday, one of your opponents in this race. He says these crazy EPA ozone regulations, if he's elected to state senate, he's going to stand up to the EPA and make the state stand up to the federal government and say, no. What say you?
I spent 4 years on the Commerce and Labor Committee. We regulate energy policy for Virginia, including the utilities. Okay, we spent much of our time in that committee either fighting the federal government on labor law that was hostile to Virginia policy, fighting the federal government on environmental protection law that would create job-killing regulations that would destroy the coal industry here. I'm the only candidate in the race who's actually voted to push back against the federal government, not just the EPA, but every other federal agency, whether it was HUD or it was the Department of Labor or it was the Environmental Protection Agency, because under our federal system of government, the founders envisioned that each state would be left largely free to regulate its own pursuits of industry and improvement. And under the federalist system, each state becomes a laboratory for freedom and democracy, and the structure of our government was invented in Virginia, right? America was born on a farm in Virginia, okay? And I have a track record of fighting the federal government, not just the EPA, but HUD, and I think one of the first job priorities has got to be to push back against these federal agencies. And what I'm looking to do is to take up the fight that I started 15 years ago, which was to advance the conservative cause and defend our shared values and principles in the state Senate now against encroachment by the federal government. Absolutely.
Okay, that's going to be the final word. We want to thank Bill Janis for being with us, setting the record straight. Hey, Bill, people want more info on your campaign. Where do they go?
BillJanis.GOP, BillJanis.GOP.
Okay, go to BillJanis.GOP. And
make sure everybody gets out to vote. If you live in Western Hanover and Henrico, you got to vote on Tuesday, June 9th. If you don't vote on Tuesday, June 9th, you're never going to let your voice be heard.